What terrified you as a kid that isn't scary now? My grandmother's wallpaper at night. Every time I have a ghost dream, it's always in my grandma's house and always in the room with the rose wallpaper. No idea why. This is creepy as hell and I like it. Opening the shower curtain. I was sure there was some monster or murderer waiting for me behind it. I saw a funny tweet once saying something like not sure what my plan was ever gonna be after I flung open the shower curtain and did find a murderer there. My bedroom as a kid was a den converted into a bedroom / laundry room and one wall was covered in a black mirror with gold paint flecks. Very 70s. But at night the shadows combined with the dark glass and paint made me imagine faces, figures, etc. It really scared me and I would line up my stuffed animals along my bed to protect me. I too was protected by a line of stuffed animals. The monsters didn't get me, so it must have worked. I did somewhat the same thing, but I made forts out of Jenga bricks, Legos, and toy soldiers to protect me in my sleep. I had imaginary friendly monsters who protected me from the bad monsters. Not only did I have armed, loyal stuffed animals, but I also had fireworks in the corners of my room to trick monsters that they were motion detecting explosives. Catching fire. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to get set on fire at all, but the amount of stop, drop, and roll lessons I got in kindergarten made me think this was going to be a once a year thing at minimum. Wow, I hadn't even thought about how much they drilled this into us. Better safe than sorry, yeah, but man, it did kinda freak me out. Asking my grandpa a question. Man, was he intimidating to talk to as a kid. Now I love talking to him when I can. That's awesome that he's still around for you to talk to. Then, I wish I'd talked to both of my grandpas more. Same. One gone. One's mind is gone. / Bees and wasps. To be honest, I still prefer they don't buzz around me, but when I was little I remained a safe 5 meters away from them. A bee landed on me while I was outside today. I just stayed calm and didn't move much and he went along on his way. Meanwhile, wasps. I'm still terrified of wasps. I've only been stung once. It was by a bee in 4th grade when I was sitting down listening to the teacher. I wasn't moving in the slightest, but that little F still stung me. Over a decade later I'm still terrified of them. My mum gave me advice as a kid that if a wasp comes near you, rather than run away, you should just stay very still. So, the next time a wasp buzzed round me, I did as she said. It then very kindly flew onto my face and decided to take a stroll. It flew off, then back again, and continued having a nice dance across my vulnerably exposed flesh. Meanwhile, I was terrified, eyes closed and breathing as quietly as I possibly could to avoid inciting its anger. But there's only so long you can stand a murder fly crawling across you with the promise of impending pain. So the third time it blessedly left my face and continued to buzz around my head. I ran away apenmouthed and screaming, shot into my house, and slammed the door. It was much more effective, and is the method I continue to use to this day. No one will ever dissuade me otherwise. Edit. Bonus story. My dad is the exact opposite of me and is incredibly blasé about wasps and bees, as in, to a fault. We had a wasp nest in our garden one summer. It was a terraced garden and they tucked themselves inside a hole on the ground of the 2nd level. So, my dad, in his infinite wisdom, decided to get the handheld hoover and suck those little bastards up. Naturally, the wasps didn't like that too much. Those not sucked up into the swelling vortex of death swarmed out of the nest and stung his legs to bits in an angry fury. That was the summer he learned he'd developed an allergy to wasp stings. He limped around for about a week in sandals with his swollen feet straining to break through the straps. And fat, watery blisters the size of oranges adorning his calves and knees. A nice mental picture, I know. The next time another evil horde invaded our garden, you know what he said? Time to hoover them up. We didn't let him. Paint. I thought if you got it on you, it would never come off, since it never came off of the walls. When I was 13 my parents let me paint my room lime green. I painted myself, snuck out, and stood outside my friend's window to scare her. Almost gave her dad a heart attack. I wasn't even allowed to finish my room. It's still half green. There was a huge abandoned windmill in our neighborhood that once pumped water from the river. At random, the windmill blades would start to turn at night, never in the day. As kids that used to hang out nearby, it felt like the windmill was haunted as it came to life at dark hours. Probably a result of the metal cooling down after a day in the sun. Edit. How is this my most upvoted comment on Reddit? Also an expiation for those asking. I was assuming a metal axle which would expand from heat during the day, preventing rotation. Then at night when it cools and shrinks again, the release of tension cause it to spin. That worms would come out of my shower head. A snake would come out of the toilet and bite me while I was sitting on it, especially in the middle of the night. I still check. I'm 32. I still check behind the shower curtain anytime I'm in a bathroom. My own, a friend's house, family's, a hotel. Doesn't matter. The one time I don't check is the one time an axe murderer will be hiding there, and I'm not putting myself at risk to pretend I'm brave enough to pee without checking first. But what about that one time they are there? Will you just say aha, then pee in peace? Lol. A straight row of fully grown trees. Grew up in the desert. Trees were around but not packed densely and were mostly palo trees or palm trees. But there was a row of trees that looked like what I consider most would imagine typical trees look like. And that one row of trees was also in close proximity to a large prison. My brother told me that's where Mr. Bujadi lived and where the escaped murderers would hide when they'd break out of prison. Oh yeah, did I mention we had a guy break out of prison and murder the town librarian when I was a kid? So, yeah. Tree lines. Edited to add, in my haste last night I did not go and fact check my childhood memories. I had conflated escaped inmates and the librarian murder into the same story. It's not. What I was confused about was the memory of my dad picking me up on my walk home from school. Normally I would walk past the library because he knew that the search for the murderer of the librarian was ongoing. And there were a few times we locked down the school and the rumor mill was that there was a prisoner escape. I have no idea on how I could verify that or not. Although, there have been prisoners that have taken correctional officers as hostages and a librarian at the prison as a hostage in attempts to escape. Mr. Bujadi, like from the Disney movie, yep, it was his retirement home after his acting gig. He played himself. Obviously, serious typecasting in those movies. The video for Mitchell Jackson's Thriller. The very last scene where it appeared to be just a dream and Michael's looking normal, but then he turns around and stares at you with the werewolf eyes. That terrified me. And that laugh. My god, that laugh. Jesus randomly showing up during dinner. I thought he'd use the door. Clearly I was raised to fear the wrath of God. Edited. Thank you for my first awards. I have a reoccurring dream showing the second coming, and I'm not ready. Scares the crap out of me. Most likely to me falling out of my religion. I get those sometimes. Usually after the rapture, and I'm stuck on earth. Church really messed me up. Yo, did you see that Left Behind movie as a kid too? The rapture happens, and it follows the lives of the people who weren't taken. I solely blame this movie series for any rapture nightmare I've ever had. Flushing the toilet. Did you watch those bizarre commercials with the talking toilet in the early 90s that scared you as a kid too? No, I watched Stephen King's It, and I realize all pipes go to the same place, and if he could come out of the drain and the shower then he can also come out of the toilet. That's legitimate too. Running up the basement stairs after turning off the light. J/K, that S is still terrifying. I'm 35 and I still do this. If someone says they don't, I'm pretty sure they're lying. Nah, just broken spirit. I'm the only monster in this house. I was always afraid of Baby Bell cheese. Not sure why, but I'm over it now that I'm older. A few months ago I bought some Baby Bell at a gas station in a tiny town while on a road trip. It tasted off, and I noticed that it expired in 2018. I'm now afraid of Baby Bell. Maybe you inherited his fear. Maybe fear never really dies. It just transfers onto the next victim. Hades from Hercules. Now I like him better than any other villain.